That was just to indicate that Jack's life was cut short because he kicked the safe and all the gangrene and all that terrible story we told earlier. So that's the kind of the symbolism there. 1850 again, it's not the right date, but it's probably what Jack told them. And then the two chairs here are because Jack never married, and so there were several mourners here, and the chairs have been left because some people still mourn Jack's passing. You'll find that people leave miniatures of Jack Daniels here. There's 3 graves that if you go to, you'll often find Jack Daniels left. Jack Daniels' grave is one. William Faulkner's is another if you go down to Oxford, Mississippi. He was a big, now there's a rumor several years ago that William Faulkner drank 4 Roses. 4 Roses kind of did an ad about that, and I asked the Faulkner family about it. They said he poured 4 roses. So when he had guests, he poured 4 roses. He drank Jack Daniels. It was just so hard to get back then that he saved it for him, and he poured his guests 4 roses. So that's the story from the Faulkner family down in Oxford. And then the last grave, as you might expect, is Frank Sinatra's. You'll often find Jack Daniels left there. An interesting thing, right next door to the Daniels here is Alfred Eaton's grave. And Alfred Eaton started making whiskey here in the county before Jack Daniels in 1825. And he is said, we only have this by oral tradition, we don't have any documentation, but oral tradition is Alfred Eaton invented or had the first distillery here in what was Lincoln County, doing the Lincoln County process of charcoal milling today. Jack didn't invent it. Remember I said earlier, it wasn't Thomas Edison, it was more like Steve Jobs putting the best together. So it was developed at the Alfred Eaton distillery. And then the other thing oral tradition tells us is that those enslaved at the Alfred Eaton distillery were largely responsible for bringing that process to that distillery. But if you know anything about charcoal filtering or rectifying whiskey in Kentucky, it predates what was going on in Lynchburg. I think the thing that's unique about charcoal milling the way Jack Daniels does it is the depth of the charcoal, how much, how long it stays in the charcoal, and that it's all sugar maple charcoal. They were experimenting with different things in rectifying. So those two things, and that it's done before it goes in the barrel. A lot of times rectifying is done after the whiskey's matured. This is before it goes in the barrel. So that's what makes charcoal mellowing unique. But Alfred Eaton over there. As we go back down, on your right, you can see Jimmy Bedford's tombstone. Now, I know we have a really aggressive legal department that, you know, if people are trading on our franchise using the filigree and t-shirts, they'll go after them. This is one piece of filigree I don't think they'll go after because it's on Jimmy Bedford, former master distiller's headstone. So I think that the other time they didn't really go after somebody is our high school football team. You know how they'll have those kind of motivational t-shirts? Well, they did a baby blue, because that's their color, baby blue t-shirt with Jack Daniels filigree with their slogan, and I think legal just because all of their parents pretty much worked at Jack Daniels. So I think they, and Brad Paisley had an alcohol tour in which his tour t-shirt had filigree. He did get a cease and desist, but it was long after the tour was over, because I think the brand sort of liked that he had promoted the brand, but they wanted to protect it still. So this is Jack's final resting places. Just down the hill, Lem Motlow, you can see the Motlows here. The Tolley family over here, they were related by marriage to the Motlow family. John Tolley may have been one of our master distillers. We're still trying to figure that out. This is Lynn Tolley's family over here. And then as you walk back, you're going to see names that we've heard people talk about. Remember Parks, the Parks family was the one who owned the Ford dealership. You'll see Parks, you'll see Norman. Those. When I go and talk to people at the distillery, and I come up here, I just see all these family names. And as you saw in that documentary, when you go on a date here, the first thing you do is you check your genealogies to make sure you're not too close. Any questions? Yeah.